What's up, you guys? This is Rob from The Gay Guy Plays, and today on #confirmed, we are digging in deep to Devstream 108 and taking a look at some of the juicy news that should be coming to Warframe pretty soon. Hopefully. Now, something that is gonna be a little bit further off, like down the block and around the corner kind of soon, which of course is Kora. Now, she did lose a little bit of her identity after they've changed out like damage 2.5, because they really don't know exactly what was gonna happen there, so they had to revamp her kit. They've got a kit that's working now, however, it is still a bit rough, as they referred to it, needs a little more polish. So don't expect to see that soon, but they are working on it, and know that it will come eventually. Not like next week eventually, maybe like 2 weeks, 3 weeks out kind of eventually, but not like soon. However, something that is coming very soon, of course, is Zephyr Prime. She drops this March 30th, and let me tell you right now, I did like a zoom and enhance on the dev stream. Like, I paused a couple things and I was like, that's very interesting, because not only did they show off Zephyr Prime, but because they showed her off in the arsenal, I was able to grab some stats off of pretty much everything in Prime Access. So I figured we would go through that, and I used some sleuthing skills to kind of figure a couple things out, and kind of played around with some mods in-game to see, did they just mod that, or is that how it is at its base? So we're going to take a look at Zephyr real quick over here, and as you can see, she's got a boost for armor. So she's got an armor boost and an energy boost. So you can tell right here, an armor boost went from 15 armor up to 75 armor. And it also looks like they've boosted up her energy as well, from a base of 100 to 150. So as you can see here, it's like 638, and that's with a base of 100 and using a prime flow on top of that. So you can tell she's got a little juicier in the armor department. Now, they also did show off the Tiburon, and this is very interesting because I'd said it on stream and somebody was like, no, Rob, that's not how it's gonna be, you know, its design is not meant for that. However, I said that there could be an alternate fire. And as you can see here, if you take a look at how it looks in-game versus how it looks here, you can tell that that sidebar is expanded way more. And in light blue letters, they say burst. The only reason that they ever have light blue letters is if they're trying to separate one type of fire mode with a different type of fire mode. So you can see there's a burst fire, and then there's something else hiding under the fold. Now, I don't know what that is, and do keep in mind that this is all in their development, build. So this is all subject to change. Don't think that this is exactly it. Do not think that these are the final stats, but in their development build, I did notice that it looked like they had an alternate fire. It also looked like they boosted up the critical chance from 26% to 28%. They boosted up the critical multiplier from 2.4 times to 3 times, and they boosted up the status chance from 16% up to 20% status chance. Now, I was looking at the fire rate and punch through as well, because I was like, this thing's gonna have innate punch through, but I was thinking to myself, I was like, no, that might just be like a lower grade prime shred, like someone hadn't like leveled up their prime shred all the way, and I'm like, that could be a thing. However, you know, you can see here that it has a 2.0 punch through, and it does have a faster fire rate, but again, no comment, because that doesn't match up with any of the fully ranked mods in game currently. So I'm just saying, that might not be innate. We don't know. I also took a look at the reload speed. The reload speed was very interesting because it looks like it's been touched, because when I went ahead and equipped like fast hands and primed fast hands in game, the reload speeds didn't match. But as you can see here in the graphic, it is a 1.3 reload speed, which is a much faster. I believe the reload speed of the Tiburon on its own, I've got it up on screen, is 2.3. So they literally have shaved off like a whole second of it. I don't know if that's innate or if that's done with like a weirdly ranked mod or something, but straight out of the gate, it looks like it's going to get a reload speed boost as well. We also took a look at the Cronin Prime. So I, again, played with some, you know, some speed stuff in game. You know, I was like, all right, how are we going to get that attack speed? And it looks like it's got a boost. So it actually went from a 1.08 attack speed to a 1.17 attack speed. It also has gone from a 5% critical chance up to a 12% critical chance. And it's gone from a 1.5 times multiplier up to a 2 times critical multiplier. So a little bit of sleuthing there. Again, this is the development build, so these might not be the final numbers for this. However, if that's the case, I'm very excited to see how these weapons are going to play in game, because Cronin Prime with a 12% critical chance, that might be in body count blood rush territory, or I'm sorry, just blood rush territory, not body count. We're going to use drifting contact on this one because legit drifting contact will positively affect the status chance on that's already on the Cronin. The Cronin's got a decent one. So let's go ahead and move on from that really exciting news on to some interesting news for those of you guys with arachnophobia. I'm very sorry for you, but legitimately they showed off the new Corpus spider tanks, and again, this was development build, so it's still a little bit rough, but yes, some of the spider tanks, at least in this moment in time, will be able to go invisible. So y'all better be careful because they're going to disappear on you and they're going to get you. But apparently after you go ahead and damage them, they do kind of like break out of their invisibility after they've taken a certain amount of damage. At least that's what they were saying. They also showed off a smaller mini spider, which a part of me was like, I thought that they were all going to be like ginormous. So I don't know. However, my heart does break because if this is the case, what are the big scary bosses that we're gonna fight on Venus? I really want crazy, like, I want a massive spider tank. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just one massive spider tank we're gonna fight on Venus. Regardless, they did show this off, and this is really interesting because, you know, we've had other enemies that do go invisible for like a short period, like the Manics that jump around and kind of like disappear, but these ones will actually be attackable. You actually have to go and find them out because they're gonna be cloaked. So really interesting there. I can't wait to see what they do with that. Next thing they showed off was well, it's not next. This is just like how I decided to order them. Which of course is the new Void Onslaught. Now, they were very clear with the fact that they didn't want this to be like, oh, this is the replacement for Dark Sectors. It's just a new mode that was inspired to take the place of Dark Sectors, but might not be the replacement for Dark Sectors. You know what I'm saying? It's just a new game mode, so just get that out of your head. But yeah, so they just went over this one more time, and they have done some changes to this. They actually wanted to make this a little bit of a time attack. It's really interesting because now you're not just kind of going into areas and siphoning off like these portal beacon things. You're actually gonna have to kill enemies, like specific enemies that spawn, in order to get what looks like an Orokin key fragment. So you bust up an enemy, you get a part of the key, and the fourth one, which was really interesting, once you got that fourth one to spawn, it's actually going to be a Warframe Spectre, and it looks like a pretty, well, I feel like Rebecca was going in with like weapons that weren't necessarily modded spectacularly to take on these ones, so we'll see exactly how rough and tumble they are when we actually get to fight them ourselves with, like, you know, formed weapons and formed warframes and all of that kind of stuff. So that's definitely gonna be in there, and we're gonna be taking on Spectres. They also said that you can speed run this to get more portals in. However, your score will also be based on how many enemies you can kill, so your points will go up. So it looks like they've got two different things going on. They've got like a points thing where it's kind of like how many points can you rack up versus a how far can you get into the zone, which is really interesting, and they're gonna kind of give you updated scores in between each portal. It sounds promising. However, because, you know, everybody wants to get on the leaderboards. They're like, you can go through it real fast without having to, you know, kill that many enemies, but will you get on the leaderboards? So I don't really know exactly how they're going to judge the leaderboards. Is it going to be based on how many portals you can do, or is it going to be based on, like, the enemies that you kill in between? We'll have to see what happens. The only thing that did scare me, and this is me putting my 2 cents in, they said that, you know, they wanted to be able to do something with focus and give, like, focus rewards. I'm like, like, a part of me was very much there when they said, oh, this is gonna be for the veterans, and I'm like, ooh, I got excited. This is gonna be really exciting. I want to see how this all plays out. And then you want to give me focus rewards? We got Eidolons for that. We don't need focus rewards in this. I'm sorry, but if you're a veteran, you've pretty much like gone through your focus already. You probably already capped out on several of your focus schools. We want something a bit juicier. If you're saying this is for veterans, give us rewards made for veterans, not rewards for people just doing the average grind. We want another level, right? Moving along from that, another thing that we're talking about escalation, this is the thing that actually got me super juiced, was Endless Kuva. So we were talking about putting Kuva into Kuva Fortress. We were talking about having endless Kuva. So now they've kind of mishmashed that all into the one. And now we have the Kuva survival in the Kuva Fortress. This one, I'm like, you're ticking my boxes, DE, because now you're making us make choices. You're going to make us like, ooh, how is this going to be? Because I do like survival a lot. It's my like second favorite after interception. But yeah, so basically what happens in this mission type, it's you go in and, you know, it's like a standard survival, and you can treat it like a standard survival if you want. However, what will happen is occasionally throughout the map, these, I guess you would say, holder bearers will, like, you know, come up, and you'll have to kill them, and they will drop a Kuva siphon filter. And basically what happens when you have a Kuva siphon filter is you can pick that up, and you can take that to a life support tower. And what happens from that life support tower is it actually converts that life support tower into a Kuva like siphon. So what happens is, number one, you have to defend it for about, it looks like 1 minute. It looks like they've got 1 minute on the clock for the Kuva siphon. So you have to defend it so it doesn't get destroyed, and it will draw aggro. That's what they were saying. It almost becomes like a defense point. And after that 1 minute is over, then you'll actually get Kuva rewards for it. They were showing it on screen, and they're, you know, it's showing like they only got 50 Kuva from that, but like they were stressing that, you know, the numbers are just the numbers for now. This is definitely not what they're planning on shipping with. So when they get, whenever you do that, you kind of have to choose. Do I want this life support tower to be life support and use it as life support, or do I want it to be a Kuva siphon? Basically what happens. So it's a really, really interesting kind of like risk reward kind of like payoff thing. You're like, all right, so if I need to keep my kills up to be able to like get all of these, to get all of the life support to keep playing this mission, but at the same time, I gotta choose whether I want to do this life support tower as life support or have it expire as a Kuva siphon, because after you've turned it into a Kuva siphon, it siphons a Kuva and then it disappears and you can't use it for life support. So I was like, this is interesting. This is really cool. They did mention that this was at least a week out, so we probably won't see it next week, but maybe we can see it in 2 to 3 weeks as well. I'm very, very excited about that. I'm like, I love me some Kuva. I love me some survival. Thank you for putting it all in one and kind of making it a little bit challenging, right? You got to think about these things. You're like, bring in the Necros maybe for the extra kills, maybe a Hydroid, you don't know. We'll see what happens. Regardless, I'm very excited for that one. Now, the last thing that they did chat about was Weapon 3.0. Now, this is an interesting topic because you could tell that the dev team was a little bit torn about this, because a lot of the things that we had chatted about before with, you know, with a lot of the secondaries and primaries, all it was stat changes. There's really nothing that you have to do there. However, with Melee 3.0 coming out, and I'm not saying it's coming out. I need to like stress that. I'm like, it's not coming out, but with them trying to work on Melee 3.0, they have to keep stances in mind. They have to keep channeling in mind. They have to keep charge attacks in mind. So they're kind of torn between, do we take on a bigger goal and like try to change Melee all over, or do we just give it a stat bump and walk away from it? This is something that I'm very curious about, and I might actually dedicate like a discussion video about, because there's a lot to be said about this. There was a lot of comparisons on whether they wanted to be like God of War, Bayonetta, or like Dynasty Warriors, like what kind of feel they're going, because they pulled inspirations from a lot of different things, and they're, you know, in melee stances, there's a lot of I guess you would say movesets that just go on for too long. Like, we kill enemies so fast, why do we need movesets that lock you in for that long a period? So there's tons to discuss on this. And you know what? If you guys are curious to see how I feel about this, go ahead and leave that in the comments below, because this is definitely something that, you know, a part of me is like, you know what, just change the stats and call it a fucking day and move on. But there are definitely some points that they brought up that I thought were very, very valid. So leave your feelings in the comments below. Let me know if that's something that you want me to cover, and maybe we can do Wabiki. So for those of you guys who haven't been around for Wabikis, Wabiki stands for Wouldn't It Be Cool If? and then we can share our hopes and dreams and some of the things that wouldn't it be cool if they implemented this into Melee 3.0. Toss that in the comments if that's something that you want to see. In fact, while we're there, toss how you feel about the Tiburon and it possibly having an alternate fire. Yes. Let me know if the Cronin is looking sexy to you. How do you like Zephyr? Zephyr, like, now being able to see her in her full-on glory. Are you guys as excited as I am? And, you know, prayers for Kora down in the comments as well, because we want to see our girl Kora, but you know, we also don't want her to come out and, you know, be stupid either. So that about does it for me. Let me know all of your feelings out in the comments below. So as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch upcoming Prime weapons and accessories. Zephyr Prime, Zephyr Prime, Zephyr Prime. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.